Hi everyone, it's Phil Frost from Main Street ROI. I want to welcome you to today's presentation called The Best Way to Drive Phone Call Leads with Google Ads on a Limited Budget. So here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to start with some important trends and recent updates in Google that you should be aware of. Then I'll walk through the different options you have to drive phone calls using Google Ads advertising. I'll show you some recent results we've been seeing with our clients. I'll walk through the steps to set up a campaign and get started. And at the end, we'll have some live Q&A. Now, I do see I do not have my housekeeping slide in here. I apologize. So I will cover that on this slide. I always recommend everyone turn off distractions. And I do want to make sure everyone knows where the questions box is. So if you could, let's type in how many webinars from Main Street ROI you have attended. So if you could just answer that question. Thank you, James. This is also an audio and visual check, which it looks like everything is working. Okay, great. And welcome, Steve, for your first time. Jim has been on a million. All right, cool. So for all the first timers, I see we've got a few here. Jennifer, welcome. You're probably wondering, who am I? Why should you listen to me? Again, my name is Phil Frost. I'm the founder of Main Street ROI, and our business provides digital marketing services like SEO, Google Ads advertising, Facebook ads advertising, as well as social media. And we also provide a lot of education, a lot of free resources on our site. If you go to mainstreetroi.com/education, you'll see a lot of free resources as well as some more in-depth paid courses and master classes. To date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses with their digital marketing, and my thought leadership has been featured in Forbes, Inc., Amex, as well as Mashable. And I finally updated this slide for anyone that's been on a lot of webinars. I've had a nice outdated slide, but I'm also a proud father of two cute kids. We've got Emmett on the left. He's 4.5. Violet on the right. She's a proud first grader. She is going to be 7 in January. My beautiful wife, Erin, in the back there. We live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and our office for the company is on 23rd and 6th Ave. All right, some important trends that everyone should be aware of. This should not be news to anyone, but the mobile traffic is really picking up steam. Specifically, mobile searches in Google now account for 64% of all Google searches. That's pretty crazy to me, considering when I got started in 2006, really there was like 0 mobile searches. That was back before smartphones, where you had a flip phone and you had to like click on the internet icon. And it was just a terrible experience on a mobile device. But now that has obviously changed. Everyone has smartphones, and more people are now searching Google using their mobile phones. And then what's interesting is 3 in 4 smartphone owners search on their mobile device to address their immediate needs. This intuitively makes sense. People are using their mobile devices to search when they want to make basically answer questions that they have quickly, solve a problem quickly, and really take action. That's the critical takeaway here. They're looking to take action versus when you're on your desktop or your laptop, you might not be have that immediate need. And this stat here, when actively looking for something on their phones, people are 2.3 times more likely to purchase. So again, going back to that, when people are using their smartphones to search, they have that immediate need. They're more likely to take action and actually call a business or go make a purchase. Now, another critical change that's happened back in May of this year. Google started rolling out a new mobile design for their search results. And you can see on the screen here, these are screenshots from Google. So on the left is the old design before about May 2019. And then on the right is the new design. It might not look like much, but this is actually a big change because it's what I would call more of a native mobile ad design. If you're familiar with Facebook advertising, you've heard the term native advertising, and that's because the ads look like regular posts. That's basically what native ads, what that means. And Google appears to be moving in that direction here with more of a native ad type design. And the new design on the right, you can see rather than the old design where you've got that green ad icon, much more obvious that that first result is an ad. And then on the right, Google's moving to a new design where they're showing what's called the fav icon, the little image that you'll see in your browser in the URL window. Businesses have an icon. It's kind of like their little logo for their website. In this example on the right, the National Park Service has that logo. And on the top there, the first result, it says ad. But if you look at it quickly, it's not super clear what is an ad and what's not an ad because it looks just like the design for the regular results there, the organic results. So the change here is that Google has redesigned their mobile search results page, and ads look more closely like the organic search results. And what that's naturally going to lead to is higher ad click-through rates. Basically, it's in Google's best interest to have people clicking on their ads. That's how Google makes money. So Google moved to this more native ad design to try to get more people to click on ads. Naturally, some people, when they see an ad, will skip over it and they'll just scroll down and go to the organic listings. But with this new design, I predict less people will realize which ones are the ads because it is harder to tell. Now, another change is not super recent, but you can now advertise to be #1 in the Google map results. And when I say map results, I'm not necessarily talking about going to Google Maps, but when you search in Google, Google will sometimes show a map on the first page. In this example here, searching for an electronics store. So this is just doing a regular Google search. Google knows that this person is looking for a nearby store. So because of that, Google's just giving people what they want. So they're showing the map with the nearby stores. And then advertisers using Google Ads can now advertise and get their business to rank #1 in the map results to show up right here on the first page and drive traffic, drive phone calls, and drive foot traffic to actual stores. So the way to do that is you use what's called a location extension. If you set up a location extension, that requires you to link your Google My Business account into Google Ads, and then you're in the running to have your ad show up #1 in the map results. This is similar to if you're familiar with local SEO. With local SEO, you're trying to get your Google My Business to rank #1 organically. This now is a way to advertise and get your business to show up #1 in the map results without going through the local SEO process. Now, I get this question all the time: how do you just advertise in the maps? And unfortunately, Google does not allow that. There's no way to only advertise in the maps. You have to set up your ad campaign in Google Ads. You have to set up the location extension, and that gets you eligible to show up in the map results. But unfortunately, Google is ultimately in control of that. They control when the maps show for a particular keyword, and then they determine whether or not you're going to show as an advertiser in the map results. All right, so some key takeaways from these trends. First of all, people are using their mobile devices to search when they are looking to make a buying decision. So that's a critical takeaway. That has changed more recently. That wasn't the case, obviously, back in 2006 when I got started. People were not searching to make buying decisions on their phone. It was just a terrible experience. As things have changed and mobile use has grown, more sites are now mobile friendly. People can actually make online purchases using their phone. People know that. It's just a better experience all around for mobile devices. So people are going to Google, searching on their mobile phones, and they are doing that when they have an immediate need and they want to solve that problem. And then I showed you Google's new design, what I'm calling that native design. What that means is less people are going to know when a Google result is an ad versus an organic listing, and that will lead to higher click-through rates. And it basically eliminates that issue that I've heard a lot, where people think, oh, my target demographic doesn't click on ads. Typically, that's not true. However, if you do feel that way, with these new native ads, it doesn't really matter, because people aren't going to be able to tell the difference between the ad and the organic listings. And the last takeaway here is that you'll want to use location extensions to get your business to be #1 in the map results as far as advertising. So you can, if you want to show up organically, you would go through the steps for local SEO, but the shortcut here is to advertise, and that requires location extensions. So you're probably thinking, great, use Google mobile ads, but how do you drive phone calls? That's obviously what this is all about. And I want to first start out showing the process using standard text ads. So on the left here, step 1, someone's going to go and search on their mobile device, in this case for appliance repair. At the top here, we have an ad. And with a traditional standard text ad, when you click on that ad, you are sent to the website, what's called the landing page for that site. That's where someone lands after they click on the ad. So you can see this landing page here, and then they'll review the website, learn more about the business, and decide if they want to contact that business. If they do, then they will actually call on their phone. So the contrast here, that's a standard text ad. This here would be the example for the call only ads. At the top here, same search, appliance repair, but now you can see that phone icon, and then it says call, the phone number, and it has the text there. So if you click on that ad, rather than going to the business website, it will load the phone number on the phone that you're using, and then you'll be able to make the phone call to that business right away. So it basically skips that middle step where you go to the website. Rather than going to the website, you just place a call right on your phone. So it's also called click to call. So you're clicking the ad, loads up the phone number, and then you place that call. I see a couple questions flowing in here. One was from Irving here. What is a location extension? That is a type of an ad extension. If you're in Google Ads, within the ads section, there's what are called ad extensions. There's lots of extensions: site links, call extensions, call out extension, and then location extensions is a type of ad extension. And what it does is you link up your Google My Business account, and then in your ad, you'll be able to show your actual location. So if someone is searching for a nearby dentist and you are advertising in that location, your ad could then show your actual address. And then with that ad extension, you also are in the running to show in the map results as an advertiser. Let's see here. One more question, then I'll get to the questions as they flow in. If I skip over yours, we'll get to it in the live Q&A. And then Joe asked, would you set up a campaign just for mobile if you are doing only search without call only ads? So I would, if you're just targeting mobile versus desktop, there's two approaches. You certainly can set up campaigns just targeting mobile, and then a campaign just targeting computers, and then a campaign just targeting tablets. That can get a little hard to manage if you have a lot of campaigns and you're segmenting by device. So if you don't want to do it that way, you can set up one campaign, and then within that campaign, you can adjust your bid modifiers at the device level. So you could bid up or down per device. But we can talk more about that in the live Q&A. So again, I just want to clarify the call only ad here. So you're skipping that step where someone's going to your website. They're just going to click on the ad and place the call. So two takeaways. One, it's pretty obvious, the call only ad is going to reduce some friction. So you're taking it from a three-step process down to two. Generally, that's a good thing from a lead gen or sales perspective when you reduce friction. However, you also want to keep in mind here that your prospects are not going to your website, and that is a potential issue depending on the product or service that you're selling. So your prospects basically calling you blind, unless they're already familiar with your business. If they're not, then they're calling blind. They don't know, like, and trust you yet. So that typically what that means is you're going to need more salesmanship handling those calls. So you would want to take that into consideration. The way you're handling calls now, might not be appropriate for a call-only campaign where somebody is just calling in. They don't know your business yet, and you might need to rework your phone handling and any scripts that you're using. All right, so great, use mobile call only ads, but do they always work? And the short answer here is no, they certainly don't always work. They're not appropriate for every type of business. So I want to list some criteria here. And the first one's obviously if you want to drive phone calls for your business, then call-only ads could be a good option. If you don't want phone calls, which we've worked with clients, especially some e-commerce businesses, they just don't want phone calls. They want to drive all their sales through the website. If that's the case, obviously call-only ads are not a good option. And then if you don't have the manpower to handle phone calls, then it's obviously not a good option. The second criteria here would be when your prospect doesn't need a lot of information to take action and purchase from you. So again, we're skipping that step where they go to your website. And if you are selling something that requires some education, people aren't super familiar with what you're selling, then call-only ads might not be a good fit because they're going to be, again, calling you blind, and then you're going to have to be fielding a lot of questions and spending a lot of time on the phone. It might be better advertise, send people to your site, have them go through the education that's on your site, and then be calling you with that information and be a little bit more pre-sold. Last criteria comes with the targeting. You don't want to use call-only ads when you're targeting more research-oriented keywords. You really want to make sure you're focused on buying intent keywords where people are ready to make that purchase. They're not just doing research on their phone. An example would be somebody searching for, let's say, a appliance repair company near me. They are most likely not doing research. They're not just trying to figure out how many nearby appliance repair companies there are. They're actually in need of an appliance repair company. So that would be an example where that keyword has more buying intent. That person searching that keyword is likely trying to solve a problem. Whereas if someone was typing in how to fix a Sub-Zero handle or a Sub-Zero refrigerator handle, that's more of a research intent type keyword, where if you're searching that on your phone, you might really just be looking for information, maybe a YouTube video or a how-to article, and you might be looking to do it yourself rather than call a company and actually have someone come to your house. So just keep that in mind, that this is certainly not a good fit for every keyword that you may be targeting. So here's some examples. This first one here is a appliance repair client, and at the top we've got the call-only ad campaign stats, and just going through the stats if you're not familiar with this. So in the middle here, IMPR is impressions. That's how many times the ad was displayed. And then clicks, 37 clicks, that's how many times the ad was clicked on. And then CTR is click-through rate. And then we've got the cost. That's how much you pay Google. You're paying per click here. And then phone calls is obviously phone calls. So you can see 26 phone calls. You may be wondering, well, if someone clicks on the ad, why wouldn't that number be the same as the phone calls? Well, it is possible to click on the ad and then it would load up the phone number on your mobile device, but then that person might not actually place that phone call. So that leads to a metric called your um, phone call rate, which is phone calls divided by the clicks, which is a good metric to keep in mind and monitor, because if you're advertising on a keyword and you're getting a lot of clicks but they aren't leading to phone calls, you would obviously not want to continue advertising on those keywords. You want to make sure that when people are clicking on the ad, they're actually leading to phone calls. So you can see at the top there, the cost per phone call is $18.85. And when we compare that to the standard text ads campaign at the bottom, you can see roughly about the same ad spend, $4.29 for the standard text ads, 13 phone calls there for a cost per phone call of $33. So in this example, we're getting cheaper phone calls with the call only campaign. Here's a dentist example. I was showing this one just to show you that you do not need a big budget. You can see in the whole month, just $135 spent to drive 3 phone calls. So cost per phone call is $45. And this example here is in the healthcare industry, people calling to schedule appointments. And a couple campaigns here using call only ads, one with a big budget, so you can do this with a larger budget, and then another one with a smaller budget, just to hit that question. So you can see 100 calls for that first campaign, cost per phone call of $35, and then 13 calls from ad spend of $258, which is a cost per call of $19.88. Oh, I did not address the most frequently asked question about recording. Yes, we are recording. I just confirmed. And we typically send the recordings for our webinars the following day. So look for an email probably around noon. If not today, later today, it should come by noon tomorrow with the replay video as well as the slides. All right, so how do we get started? I want to walk through the 7 steps to create a mobile call-only campaign. And the first one, probably the most important step here, is to identify your call intent keywords. I mentioned before, these are your buying intent keywords, but with a call-only campaign, you want to take it a step further and make sure someone searching this on their mobile device is likely to make a phone call. And you might want to refer to the criteria slide and just think through again, would somebody, if somebody was searching, would they need to go to the website before placing a phone call? And if that's the case, then it's not a good call intent keyword. So if they could search for that keyword and know exactly what it is you offer and know that they would be okay calling, placing an order, scheduling an appointment, getting a quote, whatever that next step is, then that keyword would have what I'm calling here call intent. Step 2, you obviously have to draft the ads, and you want to draft them to encourage calls, obviously. So you want to think through what that call to action is, whatever is appropriate for your business. Maybe they're calling to schedule an appointment. I mentioned just a second ago, they could be calling to get a free quote. Step 3 would be setting up your location extensions. What that means is you're going to link your Google My Business account to Google Ads. Once they're linked up and you have the extension set up, again, that just gets you eligible to show your ads in the map results. So if somebody is searching, let's say appliance company near me, Google shows the map results, you would have a chance to be showing your business ranked number 1 as the advertiser. Then you want to set up calls from ads conversion tracking. That's a type of conversion tracking in Google Ads. So you'll go to conversions, the conversion section, click new conversion, and there is an option to track calls. And there are several different options, and we specifically want to track the calls from ads. Make sure you have that conversion tracking set up, and make sure that you have the threshold set up correctly. So in Google Ads, conversion will be triggered only if the phone call lasts long enough, and that's the threshold. So I think by default, Google makes it 60 seconds, but it is possible someone could call and be a legitimate lead, or maybe even get a call scheduled, get something scheduled, give a quote in less than 60 seconds. Or it's possible that they go to voicemail and leave a voicemail and are a legit prospective lead. So if that is the case, I would highly recommend lowering that threshold below 60 seconds. Maybe it's 30 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever makes sense for your business. I generally like to have more conversion data rather than making that threshold too high, because you'll see in step 7, there's a better way, I think, to monitor quality rather than just looking at the length of the call. And then step 5 is absolutely critical. You want to think through what days and times of day can the calls be answered, and in your business, when would they be best handled? And once you know the different time frames, you'll just go into Google Ads and set up the schedule. And that's pretty straightforward. You just tell Google when you want your ads to be showing. Maybe it's Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you can set up that schedule, and then your ads will not be displayed outside of that schedule. You also want to obviously set up location targeting. Typically, this is going to be a tactic for more locally focused businesses, and you want to pick the locations around your store, around your office, where it would make sense for someone to search, call you, and actually make an appointment with you, or actually come to your store or office. So make sure that is set up properly and makes sense. And then step 7, as far as monitoring the call quality, if you can do it in your industry, and I know there are some issues, especially in healthcare, where you might not be able to record calls. If you can record the calls, I would highly recommend that, because that's the best way by far to monitor call quality. I mentioned earlier, you can try to do it using the length of the call. What I've seen when I set up call recording and I listen to these calls is it'll tell you right away. You'll start to hear people are calling, and maybe it's the wrong number. Maybe they get to your receptionist, and your receptionist is answering the questions incorrectly, and that obviously means you need to do better training on call handling. There's lots of different things that could be going on, and if all you do is look at the Google Ads data and you see okay, there were 10 calls and what was that cost per call, that really doesn't give you the full picture unless you get the call recording. And if you can't do a recording, then obviously talk to the people that are handling the calls and just get that more qualitative data. All right, before we get to live Q&A, I do want to explain our Google Ads starter package. So if you wanted help and have somebody set this up for you, we do have a new Google Ads starter package where you can get started as low as $500 a month. That does include ad spend as well as our management fee, and there are also no long-term commitments, so it's month to month. And as far as getting started, I will chat this URL out, and then I also will show a poll. Okay, so in the chat window, you should see a link if you wanted to request a quote, and then I'll quickly show a poll. On your screen, you should see a poll that says, want more information about our Google Ads starter service, with the options of yes, no, and then if you're a consultant or you have an agency and you want to discuss partnering to provide this for your clients, there is that third option. All right, I see some answers coming in here. Let me give it just 5 more seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let me close that out. I do want to get to these questions. All right, let me just scroll up. Let's see here. Larissa asked, can you please touch on the new lead form extensions? I'm actually not sure what you're referring to there. I do know of the message extensions for mobile devices, so you can set up message extensions. We haven't seen great results with that. Not a lot of action. What that is people can text you from the ad. For example, you could have a pre-written message. So if they click on the ad, it would say, please send me a quote for XYZ. And then AJ asked, which industries is this suitable for? For example, lawyers, and then loft extensions. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Certainly lawyers, but basically I would refer back to the criteria slide. So it's obviously only suitable for businesses that want phone calls, and then for businesses where prospective customers are going to Google on their mobile devices and searching with call intent. So that does need to be a criteria where people are going to Google, they're searching with the intent to call a business. And that certainly does happen with attorneys in your example there. So Skip mentioned, so problem is if you click to open the dial pad and the prospect does not complete the call, Google still charges you for the click, which is true. That's referring to what I mentioned earlier, you do want to keep an eye on your phone call to click ratio. And if you have some keywords where you're getting clicks and those aren't actually leading to phone calls, that's obviously an issue. You'd want to pause those keywords. Dave asked, can a call-only ad be made to be a SMS only instead of a voice call? I'm not aware of that. I do know that you can have the message extension so that people can they can send you that text message from the ad. But I believe that's only an ad extension. You can't actually have the entire ad be message only. Charlene asked a great question here. Is it best to use a local number or can you use 800 for a geographical region? So the way Google tracks the calls is Google's going to show their own tracking number. Google's not going to show your phone number. So the way it works is you have the option, you can show your own number, but well, if you want Google to track it, then Google's going to need to show their own forwarding number. So in the search results, prospects will see the Google forwarding number, and then that number would forward to whatever number you want them to see, or want the number to go to. So if you wanted to do call recording and you wanted to use your own tracking number, the way to set that up is the call extension number in Google. You want to make sure that number has your tracking number set up in it, and then the number in the actual call only ad, you want to make sure you put in your tracking phone number. Donald asked, do call only ads get a better or worse click-through rate? So it totally depends. That is another key takeaway from this presentation, that I'm certainly not saying call only is better than regular text ads or text ads are better than call only. It 100% depends on the keyword that you're targeting. So for certain keywords, we've found the text ad works better ultimately for driving phone calls. So even if your goal is to drive calls, certain keywords, text ad that goes to a website can generate more phone calls than a call only ad. So this is something that you would want to test. And it's going to be dependent on your targeting as well as your ad copy. And as far as Jim asked, are the same cost as regular ads? So they are not the same cost. What we found is initially you have to bid aggressively and bid high for your call only ads, and then once you basically earn Google's trust, you'll be able to reduce your bids. But Google does put a kind of a barrier to entry, which makes sense. So the risk to Google is that they let some fraudulent business advertise and drive phone calls, and it's a bad user experience. That's a bad situation for Google. So Google wants to make sure that you are a legitimate business. So I believe that's the reason why there is a bit of a barrier to entry. And once you earn their trust, it's kind of like the quality score. If you're familiar with Google Ads, over time, if you have a high quality score, that allows you to bid less and still get the top positions. Jim mentioned 90% of his prospects call in directly from the ad. So it's another industry there, flooring industry. Let's see here. A lot of these questions I already answered, so I'm skipping over them. So Steve asked what was the difference in the ads to get the difference in cost per call. So the main difference was one campaign was a call only campaign. The other campaign was a standard text ad, so people had to click through to the website. If you're referring to the appliance repair example, that was the big difference. So AJ asked, are call-only ads set up as a campaign type or at the ad level? They are at the ad level. You could have call-only and text ads, and you could have them in the same ad group. They would basically compete against each other. So you could set them up that way. We like to set them up at the campaign level. It just makes it easier to manage the account. It gives you, if you're just looking at the campaign level stats, you can get those high level stats without digging in to individual ad groups to see which ad got clicked on and actually drove the call. Charlene asked, is call recording set up via a third-party provider? The answer is yes. So you could obviously record the calls on your end if you have that capability with your current phone line. If you don't, then you would need a third-party provider. We like to use Conversa. It's just a company that we've partnered with, but there are a ton of providers out there. Jessica asked, is there a way to exclude our current clients so they don't call us through the ads? To do that, you would you'd create a customer list. If you have your client's email address or phone number, you can upload that into Google Ads as a custom audience, and then you can exclude that audience from your campaigns. Addie asked, when writing ad copy, how do we improve the quality of the ad copy? So when you say quality, do you mean you're trying to improve the quality score? When it comes to quality score, you want to make your ads, one of the factors is ad relevance, and you'd want to incorporate the keyword or multiple keywords that are in the ad group. You'd want to use that keyword in the ad copy, and that increases the ad relevance for the ad copy. If you're trying to improve just click-through rate, that comes down to having just compelling copy. And what I recommend is you search in Google for the keyword that you're targeting and you're drafting ads for, and just look at what the competitor's ad copy is. And I actually like to copy all of those competitors into a spreadsheet and then just document how are they similar, how are they different, what is each of the competitor highlighting, what kind of offers are they using. And then once you have that information, you can identify holes in the market and write better ad copy than what's currently being advertised. Magdalene said, I want people making appointments for waxing and spa services. So yeah, I definitely think that industry passes the test for call intent. People would certainly, they know what what a waxing and spa company does. They know what the services are. They wouldn't need to go to a site and learn about that. And then, I know firsthand my wife has used her mobile phone to search and schedule appointments. So it certainly passes the criteria that I've covered. With that said, I also mentioned you might want to test both text ads and call only, but you could certainly launch a call only ad campaign in that industry. Oh, and someone just asked about the link as far as the quote link that's on this slide. I also chatted it out. I'll do that again. So in your GoToWebinar little window thing, widget, there's a chat window, and I just sent it again. I say to use that just because you should be able to click right on the link. But you will get a copy of the slides. Once you have the copy of the slides, you can also click on that link. Whitney asked, can you narrow down your audience? For example, just dentists seeing your ads. There's no way to target just dentists in Google Ads. Like there's no audience called dentists, and you just check it, and you're able to do that. You would have to think through, if you're trying to target dentists, for example, maybe you sell tools to dentists, then you'd want to think through what would dentists be searching online if you wanted to target them using Google search. And then you can also think through what might they be reading online or doing research online, what type of websites, and then you could do display ads to try to target them that way. Magdalene had a follow-up here, and do I add my booking link? So with a regular text ad, you could drive people to your site, and then they could use the booking link to book an appointment. With the call-only ads, you would be driving people to call your spa, and then you'd obviously then take their information and schedule that via the phone. Daniel asked if I have a recommendation for a call center. I unfortunately do not have a recommendation there. Donald asked, can we simultaneously run click-to-call and text ads? The answer is yes. Patty asked, is the higher bidding at the beginning just for call-only ads? So it's not, typically if you're a new advertiser, Google, regardless of the type of ad, will make you pay more. You're basically like an unproven company at that point. It comes down to quality score. Once you build up a good reputation with Google and you have a good quality score, then that allows you to bid less and still get a good position. I'll explain that a little bit more just so it makes sense. The way Google's auction works is they multiply your bid times your quality score, and that gives you your ad rank, and then everyone's ranked up according to their ad rank. And if you think about it, if you have a quality score of 10 and let's say you bid $2, that gives you an ad rank of 20. If a competitor has a quality score of 2, they would have to bid $10 to get an ad rank of 20. So you're able to only bid, I think I said $2, whereas your competitor has to bid $10 just to get that same ad rank. So that's why quality score is so important with Google Ads. And if you're new, then Google tends to make you bid higher just to get in the game. And then once you prove yourself and prove that you are a legitimate business, that people click on your ads, they like doing business with you, then Google will improve your quality score and you'll be able to bid lower. All right, just a few more questions here. Boo asked, what would you recommend for a one-lady run massage therapy business with a budget of max $100 a month? So if you, with that budget, you'd be looking at doing this yourself. So I would stick to some super targeted keywords, a very small geographic area, and with massage therapy, I think that again passes the criteria test where people know what they're getting. You could certainly test click to call in that business. All right, just a couple more. So Joe asked, would you decrease mobile ads in 100% if you were running a call-only ad in another campaign? Yes. So if you're running regular text ads, let's say to computers and tablets, you would set your bid modifier to negative 100% for mobile devices. If you had that campaign running and then you had another campaign targeting the same keywords and you wanted that to be mobile call only, you would have that campaign and you have negative 100% bid modifiers for computers and tablets. Abby asked, could call ads work for an outdoor climbing gear company? That would certainly depend on what gear you're trying to sell. To me, that would likely require someone going to the site, checking out the gear. But maybe there's something I'm not thinking of. But my first thought there is that does not pass the test. All right, there's one more question. We've got a minute left. This will be the last question. Do you have any recommendations to maximize leads from a search campaign with a limited budget? It's like the $1 million question there. Recommendations to maximize leads. So it all depends. So if you have a limited budget, you're just going to want to pare down that keyword list to what I call bullseye keywords. Those are just the super obvious buying intent type keywords where you know that person is looking for the product or service you're selling and they're looking to buy right now. Make sure your targeting is set up properly. Make sure your match types are set up properly, that you're not just targeting broad, you're targeting, let's say, phrase and or exact. Go through the ad copy exercise I mentioned earlier. So review what the other advertisers are currently advertising and make sure you have more compelling ad copy and a better offer. If you don't, then you really just don't have a chance. And then if you're doing call only, you're good to go. If you're doing regular text ads and you have a landing page, you'd want to make sure that that landing page is congruent with the keywords as well as the ad copy, and make sure that it is designed in a way that it's going to encourage people funneling to the call to action that you want, whether that's phone calls, maybe they complete a form, request a quote. Make sure that that call to action is prominently displayed, and it's very easy, brain dead simple for someone to come to that page and take the action that you actually want. All right, we're 1 minute over, so I think we'll call it here. I do ask that everyone please complete the brief survey. So when I close this out, you'll get redirected automatically to a survey. I think there's like 4 or 5 questions just to get your feedback on the presentation, as well as additional ideas for future trainings. All right, everyone. Happy Halloween and have a great weekend. Take care.